Hello, I want to talk about the Hunter Biden laptop computer story because it's so weird, isn't it? And what I'm going to do is, well, I'll give you my speculation about what I think happened, well, part of it anyway, but you know, don't quote me as an authority on this because, well, frankly, your guess is as good as mine on that one. However, first, I do want to talk about one of the reports on the subject which I found while I was doing research, and it was published on the CBS website. And I'm calling this to your attention, not so much for the story itself as for the astonishingly, well, we're not even pretending to be a news organisation tenor of the writing. I mean, I thought the BBC was bad, but well, it's definitely down there in the bronze medal category when standing next to the magnificence, the Olympic gold displayed by the CBS impartiality. So anyway, here it is. Oh, I have to remind you that this isn't supposed to be an opinion piece. It's a news report. And it's headed What We Know and Don't Know About Hunter Biden's Alleged Laptop. So we've already got the idea that the story's dodgy. This is how we're supposed to think for the rest of the story. And by the way, notice the word disinformation a bit lower down in the legend over the photograph. There are several rolling photos on this site, but every single one of them has that word disinformation there. Now, I'm just going to go through some phraseology. This is the opening paragraph. Wilmington, Delaware, President Trump and his allies. Now, when the left are talking about allies, like I want to be a BLM ally, they mean it positively. But they also mean as a sort of subordinate position. Now, an ally is supposed to be an equal, but they've changed the meaning of the word here. It's a subordinate position, and, a white ally of BLM can never be as important or as authoritative as the BLM itself. You see? But yes, ally, good, so long as you know your place. However, when they use the word ally in relation to Trump, you just know they're talking about Lord Voldemort's Death Eaters, aren't they? A dark force travelling in the train of the huge, the all-powerful magician who just won't die, whatever you do to him. Okay, on to the next. Have launched a late effort. Now look at that, a late effort. You have to give the writer credit for compaction. First of all, they've launched an effort, like the death charge of a wounded dragon. And the word effort in itself gives the impression of desperation. And the next, to again tarnish. Well, I'll just slip in a comment here about a split infinitive. That light, there was a light over there. It was in my eyes. It was bothering me. Let's see. Where was I? Yeah, split infinitive. That should be again to tarnish. But I have to admit, I'm being picky because I can't stand the whole thing. And so here we have the word tarnish. Now, let's look at that. Tarnish, like Joe Biden, the plagiarist, the doubtful Ukrainian influence wielder, the Obama sidekick, and we now know that Obama himself was not, well, lily white. You should forgive the expression. Biden is the gleaming, pure and shiny silver candelabra lighting the way to a better future. And the Trump campaign is making an effort to tarnish that in some way. Yeah, by tying him. Now here, you've got a little bit of confusion of metaphors, but what the hell, it's still, the idea is they're trying to slip in the feeling that somehow the Trump campaign is the one doing all the work and the Bidens are the pure innocents, being tied. Tying him to his son, his son, his son, Hunter Biden's overseas business interests, publicising emails and photos, supposedly, that is probably not true, from a laptop alleged, and that's an even deeper level of not true, to have been abandoned by the younger Biden and timing their release in a manner reminiscent of Russia's efforts. And notice the significant reuse of the word efforts here, just to bring it back, to dump damaging material about Hillary Clinton in 2016. CBS is the very last organisation to start accusing the Russians of cooking up stories about politicians they don't like. And don't even get me started on the revelations about Hillary Clinton, which involved documented cases of illegal funding, business meetings for money, that's bribery to you and me, and rather similar to what happened or didn't happen with Burisma, as well as corruption of the FBI, the IRS and the Justice Department. But yeah, leave that for the time being. That said, I do have to say, I find the whole business very weird indeed. Just to go through it quickly, I want to add my guess. I think it was probably engineered by someone in the Biden camp, a disgruntled employee, or perhaps a disillusioned employee, perhaps, who set up the computer to video Biden Jr. taking drugs and having adulterous sex. And then they took the whole lot to the one person who couldn't be forced to trace it back to him or her. Let's just go through the coincidences here. A nameless person brings 3 water-damaged Mac laptops to a repair shop in New York. The repair shop is run by a fellow, John McIsaac, who is probably the only computer repairman in the city who is actually legally blind. He can see close up, so he's all right working with computers, but he can also say with absolute honesty that there's no way he would be able to identify a customer who's more than a couple of feet from him. And this customer gave false contact details and then left the computers, abandoning them, very valuable computers, full of astonishingly revelatory information, and vanished without a trace. Completely, the McIsaac was completely unable to find him again. This computer man, having investigated the hard drive, which turns out not to be as water damaged as all that, gets in touch with the FBI through a person whom he declines to identify. How many of your friends have a direct line to the FBI, by the way? And then he makes a copy of the drive so that when the FBI take the computers away, he has a copy which he then, the FBI having gone silent on the matter, and actually so far that's just about the only part of the story I find even halfway believable, the FBI takes the computers, goes silent, so he gets in touch with Rudy Giuliani's lawyer. Now, how many of you could get in touch with the lawyer of Rudy Giuliani? You know, I mean, lots of people get in touch with the FBI and with lawyers and things, but mostly they're not cases and nobody takes any notice of them. You know, let's face it, you're sitting there in some government bureaucracy and somebody rings up and says, I've got a computer that shows Hunter Biden taking drugs and there are a whole load of incriminatory emails on there. Are you going to believe them? Of course you're not. Who would turn over a computer with that sort of a bombshell inside it? You know, it's just mad. But this guy got believed. That means he had somebody introducing him who knew these people. So then Giuliani's lawyer sends the whole bundle to the New York Post, and that's the only other part of the story which is even remotely plausible. Okay, so as I said, this, in my opinion, could only have been done by someone who had free access to Hunter Biden's home or office. and who knew people in the FBI and in Giuliani's office. Somebody very well connected. Whoever it is, I hope we never find out. Because if we ever do, his life wouldn't be worth, as might be said in America, would be worth a Clinton's promise. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.